Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And AdvBlueDude.
And welcome to the Main Street Cinema, the show where we discuss the finer points of filmmaking. Oh,
Correct.
yes.
Yes.
And might be kind of like part one of our two-part kind of coverage of the Beach Boys, because in preparation for myself, oh yeah, AdvBlueDude, you can't come because you're not in California.
I saw them 2 years ago with Brian Wilson. So
Burn. God damn you. How dare you. Yes. I will be seeing Mike Love and Friends on Thursday night, which is our name for them, our loving name for them.
you're going to see Beach Boy.
Right? I'm gonna go see the Beach Boys minus any of the Wilsons.
Yeah.
Oh god. Still, I'm excited for it. I'm still goddamn excited for it because it's the Beach Boys and they're iconic, and I don't care.
No, absolutely.
You know what? Even if Mike Love was against Pet Sounds, he was involved in Pet Sounds. He can't unerase his involvement with Pet Sounds, and so I respect him just on that basis. But anyways, we will be talking about Pet Sounds on Wednesday. Pet Sounds.
Yes. Correct.
But before we get to that, why don't we talk about the Brian Wilson movie, which is essentially an autobiography of Pet Sounds. It's kind of like the making of Pet Sounds in the form of a movie. So
I'm sorry.
where did you... I said this movie is kind of like the making of Pet Sounds in the form of a movie.
Yes. Sorry, you cut out.
Like that's essentially the story.
Yes.
So where did you first hear about this movie? Because I know you're the one that actually told me about it.
I don't even remember.
Yeah, I remember.
I heard about
Just
it.
like, oh, hey, Brian Wilson, freaking. Well, I know when I first heard the cast, I was really excited because I love Paul Dano. I think he's kind of been typecast into kind of the Weasley kind of annoying character.
Not necessarily.
Well, I mean, if you between There Will Be Blood and Prisoners and Looper and those kind of movies, he's always just like, I'm the rat, and I'm going to squeal really loudly because that's my role.
Little Miss Sunshine was his breakout.
Little Miss Sunshine was his breakout, and he doesn't get nearly enough credit for Little Miss Sunshine.
No, it was great.
That I will give you. But yeah, I was stoked right away from the idea of Paul Dano as young Brian Wilson, and then we get also in the 1980s timeline, we have John Cusack is older Brian Wilson. So what did you think of this kind of device of the two different time periods?
It sounded a little weird at first, but it makes total sense, and with the story, it makes entire sense.
You know what I was terrified of?
What?
Remember that Bob Dylan movie, that weird Bob Dylan movie, I'm Not There?
Oh, the one. Who was that? Wasn't that Cate Blanchett?
Yeah, Cate Blanchett. Yeah. I was terrified it was going to be like that, and it was just going to be like this super, like, expressionistic, like, oh, these are the different interpretations of Brian Wilson based on different ideals of his life, or whatever the fuck that movie was. But no, it's not that. Like you said, the narrative definitely flows really well. It jumps back and forth between time periods. I'd say in almost the Saving Mr. Banks kind of way. It does it really well.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this. Did you get there right at the beginning?
What do you mean?
I mean, did you get to the theater? Because I got there like 5 minutes late.
Oh, I got there like right as it was starting.
Okay, so I assume there's nothing in the opening besides the music video, right?
Well, no, there was first of all, when it said like all like the who produced and all that, it was just black, and there was like this it's like this weird cacophonous overture of just sounds.
Oh, okay, interesting.
And something happened, but I forget what. And then it cut to a shot of Brian Wilson in bed. It shows up a lot later in the movie, It's like that really low shot focusing on like it's at the
I know what shot you're
it's
talking
at
about.
the height of the mattress. Yeah, that shot.
Right.
And then it cuts to the montage.
Okay, so that's all I missed because I walked in basically when the montage was over.
Yeah, you didn't
like
really
when the
miss
montage was just ended.
But the montage is really cool.
I know. I really need to see it. I really need to see it again just for the montage.
Yeah.
So then we jump into. I mean, of course, we don't want to go beat by beat for the whole movie, but I mean, what do you think of the device of jumping back and forth when you saw it in the movie? It really worked well, I thought.
Yeah, it was a little bit disjointed at times, but it's supposed to be. I think.
Exactly, because it's dealing with Brian Wilson, who had a lot of mental issues.
Yes.
And that's
which is why
pretty much what this movie is focusing on. So that's why it is disjointed, because you're kind of getting into his headspace and in a really fascinating way, kind of jump back and forth between the time periods. So let's talk about the performances. So I guess we'll go down the line. Like, what do you want to talk about first, Dano or Cusack? Hello?
You are cutting out a lot.
Wonderful.
Turn your camera off, maybe?
I was just thinking that, yeah. Okay, that should probably help.
There we go.
Okay. So what do you think of Cusack?
Cusack was great. He was surprisingly good, actually. I liked him a lot more than I thought I would.
Yeah, because I definitely thought that the primary spotlight was definitely on Dano as a performer.
No, actually.
Well, I mean, I'm just talking in terms of the marketing, not the actual film.
Yeah. In terms of the marketing, absolutely. Mm-hmm. But I think Cusack had a much more intricate role than Dano did.
I think he did too. Yeah, I think you're right. I think Cusack's role in the 1980s is kind of primarily the story that drives the movie, whereas the flashbacks are all kind of just informing the character. But it does it really well, and it does it in a unique perspective. Yeah, first of all, I didn't even know frickin' Paul Giamatti was in this movie.
You didn't know that?
No. So when he popped up, I was like, oh my god. And he has a large role too. Like, he probably has like the second largest amount of screen time in the whole movie after John Cusack. He probably has more screen time than Paul Dano does.
I would say it's the third. Because Elizabeth Banks has a lot of screen time.
That's very true. Yeah. But, Paul Giamatti just eats it up. Oh my god, he has the best scenes in the movie. I think.
Yeah, he was great.
Besides the one scene where it's like, Brian, he's trying to eat the sandwich and he goes off on Brian. He's like, "What did we say? What did we say?" It's just all ugly. And then I love his last scene. I thought his last scene was spectacular. When he's like yelling at Elizabeth Banks through the door and just really just being vicious towards her, tearing her apart verbally. Yeah. Like, I thought he made a really damn good villain. I really liked him. He was really the surprise of the movie for me.
No, I mean, I knew Giamatti was going to be good because it's Paul Giamatti. But
Amazing Spider-Man too.
He did Landy really, really well.
Oh god. Okay, so that was a treat. I mean, let's talk about let's kind of go through the present day stuff, and then we'll get into the flashback stuff. So what do you think about that whole plot where I was gonna say Giovanni, that's the boss from Team Rocket.
Correct.
What do you think of the plot where Giamatti, he's like basically he's kind of an abusive caregiver to Brian.
Yeah.
And this is something, did you know about this in Brian Wilson's history? Did you know about all this? Because I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay, you did, because it really took me by surprise, and I found it really fascinating in that regard, because this is a man that I have just so much freaking respect for, and he's still doing stuff to this day, and he's still going strong. So, I mean, I knew he hit a rough patch. I knew that, like, for a number of years, probably close to a decade, he was pretty much like MIA, just like Jeff Mangum of Neutral Milk Hotel kind of went through a similar thing.
Longer than a decade.
Longer than a decade.
Like he stopped operating after Smile, and then
basically from the late '60s to like the '90s, right?
I would say like the very early '70s
To the
to
'90s.
the late '80s.
Okay.
Because Brian Wilson.
So a period of almost 30 years.
Yeah.
Or almost 20 years. 20 years. About 20 years.
Because Brian Wilson, the album Brian Wilson came out in like '88.
Okay.
And that was right after all the Landy shit got over with.
So what do you know about him? Like, what do you know about him going into this movie? Yeah.
Landy was he was a psychiatrist. He was like a celebrity psychiatrist. And basically what happened is that I forget how he started seeing Brian Wilson, and he did help him to an extent, where he got him out of bed and all that bullshit. But then he forget how what exactly happened, but eventually like Landy got like custody of him to like watch over him and make sure he's not doing stupid shit. So basically Landy cut him off from his family, like kids, parents, brothers, everyone. And he cut him off from his family. Basically for like a long period of time, Brian was only really interacting with Landy. And it started out as sort of help, but then as time went on, Landy started taking advantage of him. For a while, he lived in Brian Wilson's house while Wilson lived in a condo, like that's shown in the movie. What's not shown in the movie, actually, it is shown in the movie a little bit. Brian, he started doing albums with Landy. I don't believe any of them were released, but they were. It was literally Brian Wilson performing songs that Landy wrote. And it was essentially...
That's crazy. I mean, that just goes to show the hold that he had over him.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And it was basically Landy trying to make money off of Wilson because he would get a songwriting credit. He tried making a biopic about Wilson called Love and Mercy. I forget who was going to star. I think it was John Hurt was going to be Wilson. And Richard Dreyfuss was going to be Landy, so that can sort of tell you what Landy's ego was.
Oh my god!
What else did he do? He had him on way too many pills and not the right pills. There's something else. Oh yeah, he tried to write during this time, during like the Landy period. Brian Wilson wrote an autobiography that was essentially just ghost written by Landy, where 90% of the things in the autobiography were false. And yeah, so there was that. Eventually, like as shown in the movie, like Landy had lost custody of Brian. Brian was free to do his own stuff. Landy lost his license, and eventually he moved to Hawaii, and I think he died in 2007. But he was an asshole. He did terrible things.
He just seems like just a total opportunistic, like con man almost.
Yeah.
In terms of just having the illusion of like, oh, I'm helping you, Brian. I'm helping you, and then just basically using it to fulfill his own ego trip.
Yeah, he's a bit of a sociopath.
A little bit, just a little bit, yeah. But I love the way Giovanni played. Giovanni, what the fuck? Why? What is with me and wanting to call Paul Giamatti Giovanni? I love the way Giamatti plays him, because he plays him like almost completely comedic, but there's just enough of a sinister element to him to the point where it does get dark. It gets really fucking dark.
Yeah.
And he really delivers on it. And like I said, his last scene, he's freaking terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like, because for someone like me who didn't necessarily know the Brian Wilson story, I feel like this movie is a really good kind of education in that, and kind of
absolutely is.
a good a good representation of the struggles that he went through. So what do you think about Elizabeth Banks and her role?
Yeah, she was really good. I mean, for what she was supposed to be, she was really good. It was actually really interesting that Brian Wilson was more of a supporting character in the 80s, and future scenes.
No, yeah, you're absolutely right. It was her story for sure.
Which is really very interesting, but definitely, it was smart because, especially at the time, Brian Wilson was really enigmatic, I suppose.
Yeah,
well, not that, just really not secretive, but just really mysterious, unintentionally, just how things happen.
So like Bill Watterson.
Yeah, but like the movie wouldn't have had the same impact if it focused solely on Brian in the future scenes. So it's smart to focus more on Banks.
Oh yeah. I really I think probably my favorite scene in the whole movie of at least from the 80s is when they're on the boat and it's playing Sloop John B and it transitions from them recording Sloop John B. No, actually it's the music video, which is hilarious because you've got Mike Love all in the the captain getup and everything with his pipe. Really fun.
Yeah, they recreated like 5 music videos.
Yeah, they did them really well.
Yeah.
But I just love the whole idea of like Brian Wilson hates to hear Beach Boys songs. He can't stand it. It messes with his head. And I feel like they portrayed that really well. But yeah, Elizabeth Bay, she's very functional in the movie. I don't necessarily think she's the most like memorable character, but I don't think she's meant to be. I think kind of like obviously Brian Wilson and then to a lesser extent Giamatti are supposed to be the big kind of colorful characters where she's kind of the same person in the whole thing. So to that extent, I think she did a really good job. Okay, so now let's talk about the stuff that really kind of drew us into the movie in the first place based on the marketing, which is the 60s stuff. And the 60s stuff really could just be like Pet Sounds, the movie. Because that's essentially what it is.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I sort of wish it focused a little bit more on Smile.
Yeah, because Smile, when they get to it, is a little bit of an afterthought. I mean, not really an afterthought. I like the shot where there's like that endless kind of like shelf of the different outtakes of Smile.
Yeah.
Because that just kind of goes to show like how much effort he put into it. But yeah, you're right. It's like you see him. The only thing I remember from Smile really was him singing "Surf's Up."
Yeah, that was a really cool scene. Yeah, there was the Surf's Up scene. There was the Mrs. O'Leary's cows scene.
Right.
Where they're recording and they're all wearing fire hats. There's the scene where he canceled recording because he didn't like the vibe of the room. And then there's the scene where they shelved the album.
Yeah, so 4 scenes. I mean, as much as I wish they would have focused on Smile, I agree with you that probably is like an even more interesting story than Pet Sounds is when all is said and done. But Pet Sounds is just the iconic album, No,
it is, but I think for the purposes of the story, it would have made a little more sense, or it would have been a little bit more impactful to focus more on Smile, because that's when he had the breakdown.
It was, yeah. And we get a lot of screen time developing into Pet Sounds, but I feel like all the Pet Sound stuff kind of like, I feel like it all fit together because it all was it was all sort of character building for him, so. It was. The Pet Sound stuff was basically him putting pressure on himself. Yeah. And just coming up with, and I love the way they recreate those studio recordings with the orchestras and everything. That is the funnest stuff in the whole movie, I think,
I just love the attention to detail in those scenes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, like absolutely.
When he's naming the members of the Wrecking Crew, those are the actual names of the members of the Wrecking Crew. And things like that.
I love the bit where he's trying to get the dogs to bark. Yeah. Fun fact, because this is one of my favorite music history fun facts. So, I love how it's mentioned during the movie that Rubber Soul by the Beatles inspired Pet Sounds because they were like, well, shoot, the Beatles did this. We have to do something even better. Well, the Beatles were blown away by Pet Sounds, and they did Sgt. Pepper in response. Pet Sounds ends with the sounds of dogs barking. What does Sgt. Pepper end with?
I don't remember.
How dare you?
I'm sorry.
It ends with a dog whistle. There's the day in a day in the life, and then there's the big piano crash, and there's some silence, and then a very faint, but you can hear it, you can make it out, a very faint dog whistle. And so I love that because it's like it's the Beatles being like, no, fuck you, Pet Sounds dogs. Oh god. One complaint I have.
Okay.
I don't feel like they showed nearly enough of his drug use, actually. I feel like they toned that down, and I feel like it was kind of like in disservice to the plot.
But they don't need to show the drug use.
Look, all I'm saying is that they show him smoking pot and acid one time. And that's it. That's like the extent of the drug use.
No, the LSD scene is like a really pivotal scene in the movie.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that, I mean, the LSD trip is what set him off to a lot of what happened later in the movie.
Because wasn't he a big heroin user?
No, not that I know of.
Oh, he wasn't? Okay, my bad.
Not that
I thought he was.
I could be wrong, but I don't believe he was.
I'm probably wrong. I am probably wrong.
Well, like the LSD stuff, like the LSD trip was really formative for him. So really, that's the only thing that they needed to show. Other than acknowledging that he also smoked weed. But I mean, that's kind of a given. So you don't really
Someone smoking weed in the 60s?
Yeah.
No. Never.
Like, I don't really have a problem with the way the drug use is portrayed because of that.
All I know is that I know that his breakdown was very much kind of built on drug use. So I feel like...
Oh, it was. Well, a lot of that... I'm sorry.
I was going to say, I feel like it was more... I feel like the drug use was more kind of what brought on the mental illness stuff and not the other way around. And I feel like the movie portrayed it as the other way around.
Not really. Because they didn't really show him hearing things until after the LSD trip.
True.
And they didn't really show him like breaking until after the trip.
Yeah, I mean, he's still very eccentric, but that's kind of just his character.
Yeah, that's just him.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so so I couldn't help but think of you whenever Mike Love was on screen.
Yeah.
Because guess what? They portray him as an asshole who has no artistic merit whatsoever.
Yup. Rightfully so.
He's just like, literally the whole movie, he's just like, you know, Brian, this Pet Sound stuff really sucks.
Yeah.
We need to get back to the boys and girls on the beach stuff. That's what real Beach Boys is. It's like they make him into a joke almost. I feel almost kind of, not really. I don't feel bad for him. I don't know. But,
I feel like he might have been treated a little unfairly in the movie. But also, Mike Love's an asshole. So
he is.
But
it's exactly the kind of treatment I expect David Gilmour to get if they ever make a Pink Floyd movie. Let's just put it that way.
That's the treatment I would expect Waters to get, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well,
because
they should never make a Pink Floyd movie. There would be no protagonist in a Pink Floyd movie.
Yeah, of course, because they're all assholes.
Except for Richard Wright. And Nick Mason do a lot. It would just be the entire movie would just be a fucking battle between David Gilmour and Roger Waters.
And you can't tell me you don't want to see that.
I do, but I don't because there will be no resolution.
It would be a colossal battle of egos on screen, and yeah, there's no resolution. Sometimes life doesn't have a revolution. That's life.
It'll just be a 2-hour movie. Like, the argument won't end. It'll end because the credits rolled. Like,
no, it'll end when they play... No, it'll end with the release of fucking The Endless River and Roger Waters isn't on it. There we go. Oh, God.
It would be a more interesting story if they focused on the transition between Sid and Gilmour.
Oh, that would be wonderful. Johnny Depp was in talks for a long time to play Sid.
I don't know if I want that.
I wouldn't want it now because I feel like he's too old to play a young Sid. But back in the day, man, back when he was doing like his Jack Sparrow thing, I think he could fit.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Or maybe even before that. Maybe like, I'm talking like freaking Gilbert Grape, Johnny Depp. You know what I mean?
Oh, really young Johnny Depp could do it, but that's a direct years for another day.
Yes.
2 years in the making. Fuck, what was I? Yeah, we're getting off topic. So
Let's get off topic. Never.
I know. Everyone in the movie was portrayed really accurately.
Mm-hmm.
Van Dyke Parks.
Yeah, I think this is probably Dano's overall best performance.
I would agree. Yeah.
Besides maybe Little Miss Sunshine.
Yeah, well, he was fucking spectacular in There Will Be Blood.
He was, yeah, but I feel like the problem I have with his performance in There Will Be Blood in retrospect is that it did typecast him.
It did, but that
no,
was
he was great
to do so.
Yeah.
But yeah, like everyone was really accurate. I
love all the colors and I love all the time period stuff. I feel like they got the time period stuff down even better than a movie like Saving Mr. Banks did.
I was actually really surprised about how perfectly they casted Van Dyke Parks. He had like 4 lines that sounded just like him.
Was he the guy that told him that what's his name? Phil Spector. Phil Spector's got nothing on you, kid. Was that?
No.
Who was he? Remind me.
Van Dyke Parks was the guy that helped him write the lyrics to Smile.
Okay.
It was the guy who was It was the guy who was talking about Smile at the dinner scene, which is also an incredible scene. Yeah, like everyone was really close. John Cusack, like, was really, really amazing. I know we already talked about him, but like, even just mannerisms.
Oh, absolutely, his mannerisms. Yeah, definitely.
He got really accurate. Even the voice, it sounded surprisingly like him.
Oh, I'm Brian Wilson. I'm Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys.
Yeah. No, like, it was weird because even like script-wise, you could tell that the people who wrote it wrote for stage and then wrote a screenplay. But like a lot of the Brian Wilson lines, especially in the 80s, in the 1980s scenes, they sounded surprisingly close to things that he would actually say.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Just the way they were said. And I was really surprised that they got it down that well. Just from like watching interviews with him and stuff, it was really surprisingly accurate because he talks very strangely because of drug use and but things like that.
Yes.
But yeah,
So overall, I feel like this is a pretty straightforward movie. It's solid performances, really solid narrative, good depiction of a time period. For people like myself who might not be all that aware of Brian Wilson's backstory, but just admire him for his, for his work, I feel like it was very educational. So yeah, I definitely highly recommend it.
Yeah. Before we go,
yes,
I want to talk about sound design quick.
Okay, talk about the sound design.
This needs awards and sound design. It needs them. It needs them. I would be
Over
sad.
Fury Road.
Did you listen to the sound in this movie?
Yes, I did. It is pretty spectacular. I will give you credit. Yeah,
it is probably the most detailed soundtrack I have ever heard.
Yeah, the way they mix together all the different instrumentation, then have that be kind of like a part of his head.
Not just that. Well, also, like, first I want to quickly talk about the dinner scene, which was really interesting because that was the first scene where, like, him hearing things in his head really affected him. But that was a really interesting scene. How it was just like this cacophony of just dishware rattling, but it somehow made a song, and it made so much sense in the sense of the character, and it really put you in the mindset of him. But where the sound design in this film prevailed was, I'm not sure if you noticed, but in multiple parts of the movie, when certain background music pieces are played, they're played in mono out of solely the left side speakers.
Nice.
And I
nice.
fucking shat myself when I heard that. When I noticed that.
Mm.
Because just that attention to detail is absolutely
Oh yeah, that's
incredible.
great. That's great.
It's fucking spectacular, and that's why it deserves every award.
And sadly, I really do feel like this is a movie that's going to be pushed under the rug and isn't going to get any sort of reward attention at all.
Which is sad, because it's a really unbelievably great movie.
It is, it is. In terms of ranking it from the best in 2015, after seeing Inside Out for a second time, I have to put Inside Out over Fury Road. And then I'm going Fury Road, and then this is number 3.
Okay.
I'm assuming your list is probably pretty similar.
I still have no fucking idea. They're all really, really, really close.
yeah, fair enough. I'm just like the obsessive OCD critic where it's like everything must be ranked. I mean, look on my Facebook. I literally have like a Facebook of like, all right, these are the movies that I have seen this year. All right. Before we go, I've been meaning to make this proposal to you for a while, and so I just decided to make it on air. So, oh, don't get too excited. You're probably gonna hate it. But it just got me. This movie just got me thinking about other potential like rock and roll biopics and stuff like that. I know you're gonna hate this casting. I know you're gonna fucking hate it.
Please, by all means.
God damn you.
Please, by all means.
God damn. I'm almost afraid to say it. I am literally almost afraid to say it.
Please, by all means.
All right. Jesse Eisenberg is Bob Dylan. Just let it sink in.
He sort of looks it.
That's what I'm saying, man. He sort of looks like him. You know, he's got the look down.
If I took my glasses off, he would look like Bob Dylan.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
I'm essentially blind without my glasses.
And I feel like Eisenberg is the kind of, I feel like for as much as he looks like Dylan now, imagine how much closer they can get to him with hair and makeup and everything like that.
I'm not sure he could actually play it, though.
My whole thing, though, is that I've always respected Eisenberg as an actor, and I feel like he needs a role to really stretch his limits with, and I feel like that would be the role.
I don't know. He's too robotic, I feel.
He's too robotic. But like I said, man, I feel like that's just kind of a preconceived notion with him because his most well-known role is The Social Network.
But even before that.
Well, I mean, before that, have you even seen The Squid and the Whale?
I've seen Zombieland.
He wasn't that robotic in Zombieland.
He was Jesse Eisenberg.
He certainly wasn't robotic in Squid and the Whale.
I've never seen it.
Certainly not. You should. That's actually a really damn good movie. Really damn good. Yes, someday. Someday out there in the pale moonlight. Oh, God. And my plot for the Bob Dylan movie would be, of course, his transition from folk to electronic music.
That could be interesting.
I think that'd be a really turbulent time period where, you know, he kind of turned against his fans in that period, and his fans turned against him. So I think that'd be a really fascinating time. I could see Eisenberg doing it, man. God damn it, I could see him doing it.
I don't know.
I agree that he hasn't really proven himself yet. The Social Network, though, shit. I mean, The Social Network, you will admit, he did a great job in that movie.
Oh no, I don't deny that he's a bad actor. I don't
deny that he's a bad actor.
I don't deny that he's a good actor. I mainly think that he'd
have to really stretch his he'd have to get out of his comfort zone. He'd have to come up with a unique voice for Dylan, of course, because that's what it's all about. It's all about the voice, you know? You gotta have the Dylan voice.
Yeah.
No. I think he could do it, though. I think he could do it.
Maybe. I don't
And I definitely think he's got the look for it, for sure. And that's mostly what I'm going on, is the look. I just think it's an unconventional role for him, and I feel like it's the kind of unconventional that could make him really break out into being a really well-respected actor. You got to take risks sometimes. You got to take risks.
Yeah.
And my Bob Dylan Jesse Eisenberg movie will never happen. And if for some reason Jesse, you know what though? Jesse Eisenberg was actually my main choice to play Lex Luthor. I kid you not. I kid you not. Yeah. Strictly because of The Social Network.
Yeah.
I was like, I just want to see a darker version of that character from The Social Network. And that's what I hope we get with Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
So yeah, I called that one. So hey, Hollywood gods who are listening to me, do Bob Dylan. Jesse Eisenberg, Bob Dylan. Yeah. All right. Do you have any parting thoughts before we go, Adventure Blue Dude? Parting statements?
Oh, not this time.
I like your shirt.
Oh, thank you. It's always money in the banana stand. Those are the parting thoughts tonight.
Give us a Beach Boys lyrics. Give us some Beach Boys lyrics, but really out of context, dryly delivered.
I need to think.
Just the first lyrics that pop into your head.
Wahalole. Kini waka pula.
There we go. Have a good night, folks.